Well, greetings everybody. Welcome to our King's channel, and I want to bring forth an update for the Passover here, Passover 2022 and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But first, I hope that you may have watched the last video that I was led to bring out. It showed activity that hasn't taken place since, I think it was Thursday night. May have been Wednesday, I can't recall. Doesn't really matter at all. It's just that what took place was pretty amazing. However, while I was making up a trailer, just a snippet to put in this video to try and entice those that may not have watched it, who do watch this one, to go back and watch it. However, while I made the trailer, I slowed down and I noticed something where I was walking and I disappeared right up into thin air. And I couldn't believe it because I said, that's a fraud. And I stopped and it's like, well, I'm the one that recorded it. There was nobody else that recorded. I'm the only one here. And I know I didn't doctor that. I didn't doctor it a bit. And I played it slower. And it's like, it looks like it's been doctored. Snippet taken right out of there with a second or two gone. And I said, there's no way that could be. That's horrible. I was like 3 minutes left on the upload of the last video here, entitled 144,000 shows, just what goes bump in the night. And as you see, it just came up. There's no views on here. But let me hit the reload button. Greetings everybody. Welcome to... There are 2 views on there now. Thank you all for stopping by. And I do want to point out that I was totally bewildered when I made the trailer. Well, let me show you the trailer right here. And again, you have to touch the light in order to turn the thing on. It's a touch light. Maybe I should turn it up. It's just to touch it. So then, as you can see, when I disappear, and I slowed it down because I wanted to expose what looks like a fraud. However, it truly isn't. And notice that the video, or I should say camera, has the time and the date right there. I hope it's right there. Okay, now as seen in the video itself, here at 12 minutes and 45 seconds into it, you can see the timer here shows 9 hours, 54 minutes and 45 seconds. Keep an eye on that and watch when I blank out here. I just go poof, just vanish. And you'll see here the seconds and stuff on this. In fact, the whole numbers, as far as what I can tell. Well, watch it. Here we go.
It's just to touch it.
Did you see that? I mean, it's a horrible thing. I really felt like this was so fraudulent, doctored. It actually angered me, so I had to bring out evidence to show that, I actually didn't do this, and I got proof and evidence within the same videos from this, and I'm willing to prove even further if I have to, because I'm not erasing these from the SD cards that are still in the cameras. Of course, I take them out to put them in my little reader so that I could bring them up, as it shows. You can see it right up there where I showed during the last video that from here, which is the wrong date and time, as you may have noticed, but this was just from, as I said, maybe Wednesday or Thursday night. I've been pretty ill and pretty difficult to even think about time. But throughout these videos here, these are all genuine. There's no way I could doctor those up and still have them on the card in the cameras. You can't, at least I don't know how to edit material that's on the card in the reader, because it's a reader, it's not a writer, okay? Maybe it is, I don't know, but it never said that it would rewrite, and I wouldn't know how to redo it anyway. And my point being that as you watch this, just one more time real quick, and watch very carefully down here this time, because it really gets zippity-doo-dah when I disappear. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Now that really looks like it was just clipped out of there and that I'm quite the fraudster. However, my friends, I am going to offer as testimony. And you know what testimony, the word testimony came from? Probably not. I'll tell you. If you got little ones, you might want to cover their ears, but it was an important thing that when somebody gave testimony, and only men were allowed to bring testimony, unless it was the woman herself caught in the act of doing something where she had to speak as the, whether the two witnesses before the court condemning her, or maybe just one person was speaking properly or not, she'd be able to speak then, as you could see in the witch trials they had. But when somebody gave testimony, if they gave false testimony, they would lose their testicles. And that's why one of the laws, which was rewritten in the King James Version, but the law is that if a man doesn't have his gonads, he cannot be a priest of our Father. And he's not even to be allowed in the temple. And the reason being, the King James perversion wants to make you think that if somebody's manhood was crushed or maimed or whatever, no, if they didn't have their testicles. Now, if they was crushed or somebody, chopped them off during a battle or something, our Father's not going to penalize them for what they already lost, But it wasn't the priests that were going out to go to war and such. And if a priest gave false testimony and he lost his testimonials, well, he wouldn't be allowed to be a priest anymore. And he wouldn't be allowed in the temple. It's simple as that. So now then, allow me to bring a little bit of proof and evidence before you to show that I certainly did not doctor the trailer that I just showed, nor here again real quick. Watch the seconds there. 3, 2, 1. It jumped from 45 to 58. Now, something that I did notice on my defense, just as the last bit of proof and evidence shows, is even more proof and evidence as it comes from the same clip. And then there's even more evidence that sums it up and looks just like this.
Well, that's my light. It's been coming on and off. There you go, see? That is a touch light right there, my friends. That's my light. It's been coming on and off. There you go, see? That is a...
And so hopefully that's all the proof and evidence that you need to see that I didn't do any frauding or defrauding in the videos. They are absolutely genuine. And from what I noticed is that whenever an anomaly took place, when the lights came on or they dimmed or things of this sort would take place, there'd be a glitch in the timer. But did you see how while I was speaking, the same glitch went on to where like a couple seconds was lost there, but my voice was still persistent in it. And my yes is a yes and my no is a no. I say no, I did not in any way tamper with my disappearance, nor the lights or anything of that sort. And I do give testimony that there are the spirits among us. So with that, I hope you do enjoy the previous video if you have not watched it, and hopefully you share it with other people so they may come to a greater understanding as to why they do the things that they do. I said do. But they do things because they have little self-control, because the devils that are around us 24/7 are really convincing. And if we don't have some sort of ground rules like the give or take 613 laws that apply to you, putting them to use in your life so you can come to know my King. If you can do that, then you are keeping the 10 commandments and have right to enter into that great city. And I can't wait to see you. So in order for you to get in there, as we all know, you'll need to know when Passover is. And if you already know, then just click this off. If you don't know, then share with me what I had taped earlier and was going to use as an ending in the last video. And I figure I'd just chop it out and put it in here as well. And so I'd like to share with you me. As I do want to point out that the new moon here was yesterday, Friday, from where I am here. You'll have to figure out when you'll be keeping the Passover and feast according to when the new moon was shown in your area. Here where I am, in Rome, New York, for April of 2022, The new moon took place Friday at 2:27 a.m., which means it was after Thursday and before Saturday that the new moon was shown in where I live. So that is day one. And according to the Farmer's Almanac that I use here online, it actually does the counting for me. The new moon yesterday was the first day of the month of Abib. And we count off 10 days. On the 10th day is the day you should get your lamb or your goat to pen up. And I know that I'm not able to do that, and it grieves me that I can't. There's no one I know anywhere around that's got a sheep or a lamb that would qualify for me to do so, nor here at the apartment complex would I have a place to be able to roast an entire lamb or goat, and it grieves me. But I will purchase the lamb or goat from the grocery store here on the 10th, and I'll hold it up until the 13th after the sun sets, which begins the 14th day at evening. And after the sun sets on the 13th, which is Wednesday, when the sun goes down on Wednesday, it begins Thursday, or I should say the 14th day according to Father Yahweh's calendar. And the 14th is Passover. Now, our Messiah didn't lay his life down for us in the evening. Everybody knows that. Very few people want to read Leviticus chapter 23 to see when you are to keep Passover, and that is the 13th at sunset, which is the evening of the 14th is when the Passover lamb and goats would be put to death. So Messiah did not fulfill that prophecy or whatever people like to think it is, thinking that Messiah became the Passover lamb and therefore you don't have to keep Passover. Well, if that were true, did Messiah also fulfill the Passover goat? Did the people take the blood from our king and wipe it on the doorposts and the lintels of their homes? Did they roast him with his entrails and gobble him up and then burn up his bones and whatever was left over in the morning, the dust? In order to fulfill the prophecy and do away with the Passover, saying Messiah became the Passover, one would certainly have to fulfill all the prophecies or the laws concerning that certain function or rite, covenant even. In order to fulfill it, to do away with it, they'd have to do all the things pertaining to that which they're fulfilling, would they not? I know Yeshua, and some call him Yeshua or Yehoshua, is my Messiah because the prophet spoke about him and said all sorts of things, like he would be eating butter and honey, he would be wearing his tassels, his tzitzits, his fringes, or his lots. He'd be living by the every living word. And that's why so many people today don't know who he is, you know. Only the 144,000 and the children of the earth even know who Messiah truly is, because if you don't keep the commandments, it says you're a liar and there's no truth in you. So here on the 13th of April at sunset, I'll be pulling out my barbecue pit and getting ready to roast the lamb or the goat, whichever I can get. And once prepared, I'll bring it inside, where I will have a staff in my hand, sandals on my feet, and a belt on my waist. And standing up, I'll gobble down the Passover. And I won't go back outside again until morning, when I have to burn up any of the bones or whatever's left over of it, as is commanded. But you don't want to leave out your house. You don't want to go to a neighbor's house and eat the Passover and then come back. You're not to go back outside. And it's not a Sabbath day. But you should want to make sure you're not working on the 15th, because the 14th at sunset begins the 15th in the evening, and that is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And as you can see, we will have a full moon during the feast, where others who are waiting for the crescent may not even have the full moon during their feast. And it would be their feast, okay? Because it's not recognized by Father Yahweh nor Yahshua, our righteous king, if they're not keeping it when they were called to keep it at. And then just so everyone might know, they're here on the 17th, which is the morrow after the Sabbath. Now the 15th is going to be a Sabbath because it's the first day of a feast, so we got a double Sabbath coming up. But during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, it's always a seventh-day Sabbath, the morrow after that the wave offering and the grain offerings and everything were brought forth. And from that Sunday is when you start counting 7 Sabbaths, and then on the morrow after the 7th Sabbath will be a Sunday, that is the day of Pentecost. So I hope that informed y'all. There's plenty of spirits out there trying to keep you from keeping the feast. Don't let them do so. Well, all right, there you have it. Let us keep the day of Passover with an upright heart. You know, it's a day that all those who were obeying, putting the blood on the doorposts and the lintels of their homes, the holy Malachite death ascended down here on Egypt land. And boy, I'll tell you, it was a horrible mess. But he passed over all the homes, all the houses that had the blood on the doorposts and the lintels. The lintels. And so without further ado, I love you. Bye.